The Minister for Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, has just reminded us that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu aims to reform the education sector. And as a matter of fact, since his election in 2023, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been saying that he will reform the education sector. But up till now, more than 2 years after, he still keeps saying he will. In the first instance, nobody asked him what is the content of the reform. What has he in mind to reform? Naturally, as a member of the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, ASU, I expected new laws that will reposition our workers' unions in the education reform, that will reposition the unions to focus their purpose, which is welfare of the workers. That a workers' union is for the rights and entitlements of the workers, as may be necessary in negotiations with the employers, so that the employers don't take the workers for granted, and that they have a united front with which to negotiate their welfare rights and entitlements. But because the leaders of the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities have lost the focus of what a workers' union should be, they are using it to create unnecessary crisis, leading to many months of strike, like 6, 7, or 8 months in a single year of 12 months. So, what are the injustices created by ASU leadership, including saying that welfare of ASU members is not the overarching priority of ASU? And this is a leadership that amended the constitution to be extorting a percentage of each worker's monthly salary monthly, starting with 2% in 2012 when the amendment was committed. In 2012, when the amendment was committed and the constitution was stipulated that the leadership has the right to extort 2% of each ASU member's monthly salary monthly, and to increase or decrease the percentage to be extorted as deemed fit by the leadership. A leadership that says welfare of the members is not the overarching priority of the union, but that the universities are well run, the universities have what it should have, what it takes to be good universities. So is the good running of the universities, is the equipment of the universities the sole responsibility of ASU? What about the other stakeholders? The non-academic workers are there who have their children in the same universities. Other Nigerians are there who have their children in the university. The students themselves are there and they have their own associations who should, because the human rights activists are there to fight for the university system. So, but ASU leadership now make it its own overarching priority at the expense of ASU members. And when critical questions started coming about what are you doing with a percentage of our salaries, ASUU leadership added another responsibility for itself, granting giving grants to indigent undergraduate students. I have just read graduate and undergraduate. I don't know whether that's what I read correctly. But so turning ASUU into a charity organization at the expense of ASUU members who are themselves weeping to the bank to fund the education of their children and to give solace to their parents and grandparents. So all these are there. But of course, government is cooperating with the leadership of the unions as a form of collusion to shortchange the workers. So now, the government that is promising to do reform made itself part and parcel of the problem, bedeviling the workers. So, or what type of reform are you going to make without the welfare of the workers? Beyond the extortion of a percentage of each ASUU member's monthly salary which graduated from 2% in 2012 to 3% in 2024 under the same president who promised to do reform and has been helping ASUU leadership to extort 3% of each ASUU member helping ASUU leadership to extort 2% of each ASUU member's monthly salary since from 2012 to 2024, and as from 2024 3% till 2025. So what type of reform is he going to do? Better renewed hope agenda that is not affecting federal universities workers, academic and non-academic, because the non-academic are also facing the hardship, the exploitation created by the leaders of the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, getting fraudulent earned academic allowance since 2013 till date. 2013 was the year the implementation of the 2009 agreement was due. Increment of salaries was due that same year. And from that year, 2013 till date, between government and ASUU leadership, what has been paid is the scam called earned academic allowance in lieu of the implementation of the 2009 agreement, bordering on welfare packages and increment of salary for federal universities workers, academic and non-academic. What you call earned academic allowance, that is not allowances calculated for workers and paid to workers by the employer, but money given to the leaders of the unions to share as they like with their members. Therefore, making the leaders and their cohorts to become automatic multimillionaire at the expense of the members given pittance by the leaders. So, where is the reform now? I expected that the reform will make laws that will reposition these unions leaders. But instead, what we see is colluding. The same collusion started under the presidency of Goodluck Ebele Asikwe Jonathan in 2012-2013 and lasting till date. So when will the reform happen? What does the reform aim to achieve? Reform in what direction? So Tunji Alausa represent as the Minister for education in Nigeria. I'm asking you and the Tinubu presidency in general, particular reference to Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself, to tell Nigerians what type of reform are you going to do in the education sector. And you who promise renew hope agenda for Nigerians, and under you, ASU leaders are permitted to be extorting 3% of each worker's monthly salary monthly and getting fraudulent academic allowance which you paid. So it doesn't appeal to you, that it doesn't occur to you that workers' allowances are to be paid to workers and not to their union leaders. I'm sure it's not lack of intelligence on your part, but lack of morality, lack of conscience. So, what do you have to show for renewed hope agenda? What do you have to show for reform in the education sector? Mouth, word of empty promise. Since 2023 to 2025, your education reform has no content that we know, and there's no timeline that we know. Empty talk. As empty as renewed hope agenda, when all subsidies are gone, workers are paid less than living wage. Only claim of transferring funds to indigent households. I put it to you, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you are morally depraved, morally bankrupt in all sectors. I don't know, except for running pilgrimage boards and subsidizing pilgrimages. I think those ones will continue to do rankadede to you because you are satisfying Christian and Islamic imperialists. That's the only people who can give you rankadede. The rest of common Nigerians, workers, we now come to see also that workers' unions leaders are in government. So, what can the rest of us do than to hand you over to God's court? If there's anybody beyond you, you trust the person to God. That is what I learned as an adherent of African traditional religion.